Hello everyone, this is LW Gaming and welcome to a brand new installment of Future Langrisser. This time we're going to take a look at the upcoming update featuring Virelia and Seraphina that will be coming up in about a week from now. Of course, maybe in a few days because of the upload time. So anyways, let's take a look at what those two heroes are. So first off, let's talk about Virelia. I think that's how you pronounce her name. Like I did pronounce her initially as Virelia, but Virelia is the actual pronunciation. So we're gonna stick with Virelia here for now. So anyways, her classes, both class routes are mages, as far as I've seen. And for the factions, she's part of Legion of Glory, Princess Alliance, and US Legends. And her talent, Heart of the Creator. Damage increased by 15 to or 30% depending on star level. And keep in mind about the talent name, this is roughly translated through CN. So that means this could change in the global version, so just keep that in mind. At the end of the action, if the hero did not attack, can perform a spell preparation to strengthen the next skill. So as long as you don't do damage, you can choose to have like a spell preparation for yourself, which has like three different choices. And that comes with annihilation, and that will focus on damage. And the gathering energy, that one is increasing your range. The catalyst will reduce your cooldown, something like that. The number of buffs duration will not lose their turn count and can move another 2 blocks and attack again. And this one requires a 3 or 2 turns before it can be activated again. And yeah, you can tell that's like the thing. Like this has been a thing for like something like Isolde's it works similar to Isolde's will on activation, but that one's permanent. So I think this is also permanent as far as I've seen. And the trigger cool, and then after each spell preparation, different from previous one, the unit's range is increased by 1, up to a maximum of 2, which is actually in fact pretty nasty when you think about it. So, anyways, here are the skills we have. So, annihilation basically is a thing where when using skills to attack, you can attack again, and the damage dealt by the second attack is reduced by half. When when using a long range skill, the skill range is reduced by 1 block. So that means she's going to not be able to reach as far as she normally would, which is a good thing because you do not want her to have like in this place was like too OP. Anyways, this cannot be immune and it cannot be dispelled, and this will last until the next skill attack. So yeah, this will stay on you until you use another skill to attack an enemy. And this goes to this is the same thing goes for other two. So collected energy increases the attack range by 2, and you can only move in straight line, and that's the catch for this one. And also again, like the first one, it cannot be immune, cannot be dispelled, and also lasts until the next skill attack. And we have Catalyst. This one reduces the like after using a skill to attack, the skill gets cooldown -3, which is pretty nice. And after use, other skill preparation cooldown will be increased by 1 turn, which fair enough. And this cannot be immune, cannot be dispelled, and also cannot and will last until the next skill attack. So, anyways, we'll move on to the skills that she gets, like the 3 skills. The first one you get is the 2C skill, Spell Fusion, which is a 2 turn cooldown, 2 blocks range, and also is a single attack, like single target. Attacks one enemy, dealing 1.5 times damage. For each spell preparation you have, this damage will be increased by 15%. After the attack, all trigger cooldowns will be reduced by 1 turn. So, yep, this is a nice way to speed up the trigger cooldowns on the preparation, which is really nice. And the second skill you unlock later is a 1C skill, the Power of Rethinking. This is a passive skill, so that's why there's no cooldown there. When attacking and entering combat, Virelia ignores melee damage penalty. If receives fatal damage from a physical attack, Virelia does not die, but restores 20% of the unit's HP and activate a random spell preparation. And the trigger cooldown this effect can only trigger again after 5 turns. During this period, spell preparation can't be activated. So this is a skill that you should consider to slot in because this will prevent her from dying, as long as the attacker is using a physical attack kind of thing. But she cannot revive from a magic attack. So just keep that in mind. And also with that 2C skill, like I mentioned earlier, that will go well with that 1C because as long as you meet certain conditions like after attacking, like of course that's the easiest to do. You will get this stroke cooldown reduced significantly. So you could think this is going to be really strong. And finally, her 3C skill, Punishment Scythe, which is a 4-turn cooldown, 3 blocks, and is a 4 blocks AoE. And the passive part of this is that after using a skill to deal damage, deals fixed damage equal to 2 times of Virelia's int. If the target's HP is 20% or less, this fixed damage can't be immunized. So yeah, as long as the opponent is like in the brink of dying or whatever, like 20% or less, this fixed damage will just go to them, disregarding their immunity, which is insane. So yeah, if you want to fight against Virelia, make sure you keep your units healthy because if they're below certain percentage, like 20%, you could kiss that unit goodbye. And here's the magic damage part of this: like attack all enemies within 4 blocks radius, dealing 0.33 times AoE damage, and apply 2 random debuffs to all enemies hit. When successfully killing an enemy, a random spell preparation will be activated at the end of the action. So once again, if you're able to kill someone with this, you'll get a random spell preparation activated after you finish your action, of course. So yeah, I gotta say this kit for Virelia is pretty nuts. Not gonna lie. And what's even more nuts is we're gonna talk about the next character, which is Seraphina, which I think you wanted to take a look at this. So Seraphina, she is like unlike Virelia, she is a physical attacker, so just keep that in mind. And her talent based around the poison. So we're gonna talk about that soon. I think I already covered this like a couple of like maybe like 4 months ago. But anyways, we're gonna talk about it again because this is something we cannot ignore when it comes to meta. So anyways, her classes. She's part of infantry and assassin. So I think the best class for her is of course assassin to negate the class disadvantage. And then for factions, she's part of a like she's part of Empire. She's part of a like strategic and meteor. And her talent mark of communication, and this is basically the part like where the poison will be like will be a big deal for her. Attack and crit plus 10 to 25%, and Seraphina ignores melee damage penalty. So this is huge for her because if you chose assassin on her, she's not going to suffer melee damage penalty because her talent allows her to ignore it, which is kind of like Lost Demons and also Ice Abyss. You can see. So Seraphina is actually pretty broken. Kind of think of it because you really can't get up close to her because she'll deal full damage regardless. And also when as an assassin, I don't think she'll need the EMB because she already does that, so there's no need to do that for her. And also when moving, Seraphina can pass through enemies and does not spend mobility points when passing through them, which is really good because she will be able to move further than she normally would. And also when she's doing that, she also apply poison to them. And basically the poison is like debuff received last 1 more turn, and also the chance of receiving a critical hit is increased by 20% when this effect is obtained again. The duration is updated and increased to deadly erosion, and the additional effects are obtained. So yeah, when the poison turns into deadly erosion, this is when things get seriously in hell. So at the end of the action, if the unit has at least 4 debuffs, guess what? They die immediately. What in the world is this? This only applies in PvP, by the way. But however, in PvE, this was replaced as a fixed damage, equal to 5 times of Seraphina's attack. And also for poison and dead erosion, they ignore immunity. So if you Yeah, even if you have Gospel or anything like Rosen's Crystal Barrier, those ones do not protect you against those debuffs. But however, the debuffs you're receiving from Seraphina, like the basic ones, they are preventable. So we'll see how it goes. Although it could be broken in some scenarios, like if your opponent doesn't have anything like Rosen Seal or anybody with Gospel to prevent that, yeah, they are going to be done for. Anyways, moving on, let's talk about her skills, which I think some of you might be probably a bit skeptical about what she comes with. So, she has Execution Spike. It's a 3-turn cooldown, and you can activate this anywhere on the field, which is insane. And it's a single target. And the passive part is that she can move again after attacking. The number of blocks to move this time is equal to the number of blocks Seraphina moved before combat. So no, just like it depends on how far you move with her. She can move again with that same amount, which is pretty awesome. Kind of reminds me of Mystery Knight or Knight of Mystery here. And the active component of this is that it selects the enemy and apply poison, which can be immune and cannot be dispelled, and this will last for 2 turns. After use, the buff duration on Seraphina will not lose their turn count. You can move 3 blocks and attack again. So this is a act again skill. So basically, you inflict poison on one of those guys, and then they will take it either way because this one doesn't get stopped by immunity. So, yep, choose whoever you think is more threatening, and then give them the poison and also daily erosion later. And then the 2C skill, corrosion, which is a three turn cooldown, 4 blocks, and it's a 1 line AOE. And this one basically attacks all enemies in a straight line, dealing 0.3 times AoE damage, and applies poison to all enemies hit. Cannot be immune or dispelled, and this will last 2 turns. And also apply a random strong debuff to them. After scoring a critical hit with this skill, an additional powerful debuff will be applied to the enemy. So this skill is actually, even though it's pretty basic, is really deadly. Like it applied poison to them, to all of them that got hit, and also not just that, it also gave them a strong debuff. And if the hit ends up being a crit, it's gonna give them another powerful debuff. Like, what in the world? Like, you can imagine things are gonna get really, really, things could gone south so fast with this one. And finally, her 3C skill, Wedge Sharp Thorns, is a 3-turn cooldown, 2 blocks, and it's a single target. And the passive part of this is that after an active attack and entering combat, deals 1 instance of fixed damage to the other enemies within 1 ring from the target. Enemies with poison or deadly erosion can't resist the fixed damage, and the damage value is equal to the damage in the current combat of 0.2 times damage, whatever, up to the maximum of 10 times the amount of your own attack. So yeah, you can imagine this is gonna be nuts. Yeah, I don't know if this is actually 100% accurate because, if this was true, then I can imagine this is going to be really crazy. But of course, we'll have to wait and see in the Go version because we just need confirmation. Because honestly, that sounds pretty strong if you think about it. Like 10 times your attack. Oh man, good luck surviving that. I don't know if that's even true. But, anyways, I just hope that that's just something I just got from the translation, but might not be accurate. So, anyways, the physical damage part of this is that attacks one enemy, dealing 1.5 times damage, and does like a fixed damage dealt by the passive effect after the attack is. So yeah, a fixed damage dealt by the passive effect after an attack is doubled, which is pretty interesting. When equipped with melee soldiers, they will also attack. If the enemy has poison or deadly erosion, the enemy is afflicted with stun before combat, which will last 1 turn. After dealing damage, cast deadly erosion on a target which can't be immune and can't be dispelled. So even if that unit doesn't have like a poison or whatever, they'll get deadly erosion right off the bat, which is really nuts with this skill. And this will last 2 turns. So, anyways, Seraphina by far is really strong. Like both are strong in their own ways. I think the Seraphina one is actually the one standing out the most because of the poison. Anyways, we'll wait and see how these two are going to play out because as far as I've heard, Seraphina is gonna be insane. Anyways, we're gonna move on to the next part, which is the banners. So, yep, in the previous installment Future Langrisser, I've been wondering is it gonna let me take a lot of time to get everything sorted out? But thankfully, with the new system I have in place in LangWiki, I can get them all done relatively quickly than I normally would. So this is what I got so far here from the LangWiki's update info. That my own server, by the way. So, anyways, this is what we got. So the first week obviously are the two new heroes, and as well as the awesome banner, which includes all the non-limited heroes up until the update of Isolda and Jace, which is pretty nice. This will be on the 22nd of August all the way to September 18th. And then for week 2, we have a radar banner for Yixing and Christiane, and a wish banner for Langrisser 1, 2, and 3 heroes. And this will begin on the 29th of August, all the way to the 9th, and all the way to the 11th of September. And then on week 3, we have Prezia, Mariando, and Sissy White Destiny banner, and a wish list of Langrisser 4 and 5, starting on the 5th of September, ends on the 18th of September. And then on the 4th week, we got 2 Destiny banners. One of them is featuring Licorice, Mario, and Tsubame, while the other one is Ledin, Rachel, and Altamuller. Begins on the 12th of September, ends on 25th of September. So yeah, I gotta say this lineup is pretty solid for some of you who are still wanting to catch up. Like especially Prezia, she's well needed for most characters now. Like especially for Tolivar characters. Yeah, if you don't have Prezia before, that's the one you should probably go after. And also keep in mind, the banners might change later on. Although the source I got for this banner lineup is from Banner News, not exactly from Wikigrisser, because Wikigrisser is actually no longer updated, which is sad to see. But thankfully, I have other ways to get those information. So yep, this series is not going to die out anytime soon. So moving forward, let's see what we have here. We have the what events / changes to expect. So there are actually a lot of things we're going to talk about. So for the events, we got Endless Voyage coming back for this update. I think it's going to be like second week or it could be earlier. I don't know. And there's also a login event which will give you another opportunity to get yourself a Captain Mac for free, but only 60 shards this time. So if you missed it the first time, yeah, you're going to stuck with him as a 3 stars. So in that case, you're going to have to run his Gated Fate. Well, of course, you still need to if you want to unlock his bonds. But other than that, let's move on to the next thing. There's also a new feature on here, which is like Phantom Heroes. Those one works like Covenants, by the way, but weaker, of course. And I gotta say, the Phantom Heroes that they introduced to Langrisser kind of reminds me of certain thing like Fire Emblem has. Like in Engage, there's those things called emblems. Like I can imagine those one kind of looks like that, but of course not the same, not the same concept. It's just that that's something I could thought in my head when I saw those things the first time. In gateway stages, the hero requirement for the corresponding bond unlocks will be labeled to indicate. So that's the quality of life changes, just to let you know. So starting in this update, you will begin to see that there'll be some heroes that you need for unlocking their bonds. So if you already got the character you have that needs them for the stage, the game will tell you, which is pretty awesome. So that means the chance of you forgetting that hero to be deployed will be less likely now, because of the game now reminds you which hero you should bring. Pretty awesome. Next up, let's talk about the confession and exclusives. Well, this time around there's only one exclusive nowadays, but anyways, the new exclusive we got this time is for Hoffman, which is the armor. HP and defense plus 5%. When Shield of the Kingdom uses Glorious Garrison skill, gains the command effect, which basically makes all non-flying allies move through the terrains within the defensive range, gaining a chance of negating one mobility consumed. And also, when an ally is attacked while within 3 blocks from Shield of the Kingdom, the Shield of the Kingdom will enter combat instead, which makes the shield as a tank. And this will last 4 turns and cannot be dispelled. And the new confession for this update is Sovereign of the Ice Abyss. So wow, pretty soon we already got the Isabis in the confession, which is interesting. Okay, moving on. Let's talk about what are we gonna get for casting skills. So this time around, the setup here we have here is pretty solid here. So first off, we got Liana. Liana is gonna get a casting here. The act against skill range is increased by 1, and after using act against skill, applies reinforcement and immunity to the target for 2 turns. So essentially, it gives them like a mini 3C skill for them, and also give them like a gospel effect for the person you just act again. Pretty nice buff for Liana. And will we be seeing Liana again? Definitely, because that is going to impact a lot of things. Like I could imagine Liana is going to coexist with Ishin together for the double act again meta. Like act agains have gone insane lately, as far as I've heard, as far as I've seen so far. Next up, let's talk about Werner. Werner's gonna get a casting in this update. This one involves his stances. So yeah, in his defensive stance, he it's gonna last 1 more turn if a crit is scored doing counter attacking. While in that stance, of course, and also when attacking, if a crit is scored while in strike stance, reduces all skill cooldowns by 1 turn, which is nice for him. Will we be seeing him again in PvP? It depends mostly. Although I could see some potential with this one though, like being able to make his defensive stance much longer as long as a crit is scored. Yeah, you can imagine how insane he could be. Next up, we got Michelle. Michelle is gonna get casting here, although Michelle is already out of the meta. But let's see what hers will do. So attack and defense plus 5%. When the AoE skill hits 3 or more enemies, applies 1 additional stack of Searing Flame to all enemies hit and reset the cooldown of Magic Armor Substitute. So yeah, this is alright for her, but will we be seeing her in PvP? Maybe not, but I did see a bit of a potential there, but it's not really at the point where broken. And finally, we have Lance. So yeah, Lance has been left in the dark for quite a while now, but now he's getting a casting skill in this update. All stats plus 15% except HP when fighting in advantage, which is what his main gimmick is. Like basically, as long as he's fighting against someone with the class advantage, like this includes cavalry and flyers as well, or anything that he's like have advantage against, he's gonna get all his stats increased, but aside from HP, of course. And also, when in mixed forces, gains mobility plus 2 and restores 20% of damage dealt as HP. So that right there is actually pretty insane, but not to the level of power creep. This is actually a slight help for Lance. Although honestly, for real with all of you, I wonder who still want to use Lance. I know Lance is still being loved by some people, but in the majority of like the teams here, Lance could have a spot there, but at the same time, unlikely because in PvP he is not great unless you're just doing it just for memes. But I don't know. Anyways, we're gonna move on, and I think this is the closing point here up until now. So, anyways, the next update is going to be something you should probably not sleep on because the next update will feature Bright Summoner, and that is the new version of Chris. And also, as far as the LR reruns go, we haven't heard word about the LR return of Ice Abyss just yet on the 6th anniversary update because her banner was not present there. So that's indicating that LRs are much rarer than the limited time SSRs. So yeah, if you're a big fan of Chris or whatever, definitely grab her. But if you're really not, but you wanted to grab someone that can do like PvP, still grab her because she is pretty nice. And I gotta say, I know this one former guild leader I have like in my guild is in love with Chris. Like, and I think that was Tyler. Like, although I did speak with him a couple of weeks ago, and yep, he's back to the game active, of course. because hoping to get Chris later on when she arrives. So anyways, hope you all find this video informative, and I'll see y'all next time. Oh, what a ride here.